Whenever a new monster taming game is revealed, the discussion of Pokemon killers is always something that tends to take over the conversation, since a lot of people feel like Pokemon is something that needs to be taken down, or at least challenged enough to make it improve. Discussion about Pokemon is usually relegated to extreme adoration for the series and franchise, or extreme detest for what the series has become. There is usually little room for nuance in these types of discussion, and whether you defend or critique modern Pokemon, you're generally accused of being blinded by your nostalgia of the franchise. I like to think that I exist in a realm that is critical of modern Pokemon, in that I do think that there have been a lot of shortcuts taken, features removed, then added back via DLC, and a myriad of other issues, but I definitely don't exist in the camp where if I even hear the mention of Pokemon, I start to go on a 40-minute tirade about how terrible it is and how terrible the Pokemon Company and Game Freak are for hosting the current modern take on Pokemon, and that's for a pretty simple reason, that being apathy. Lately, I've been very apathetic towards Pokemon and what it's become. I'm not sitting here hoping that it's going to fail, nor am I sitting here praying that it's going to be once again what it once was during what many people consider the golden era, that being from Gens 3 to 5. I still have my opinions about it and discussions and whatnot, but whenever a new Pokemon game releases, I'm really at the point of my life where the only reason I play them is for this YouTube channel, and I think it really shows since I cover non-Pokemon monster taming games way more than I cover Pokemon related topics. Now, back to what I was saying about Pokemon killers, oftentimes you'll see a game like Temtem, Yokai Watch, Dragon Quest Monsters, Palworld, etc. be touted as the next Pokemon killer, which honestly I think is kind of laughable because Pokemon as it exists right now will not fall to a single game. It's going to take an entire genre of hits in order to actually even dent their bottom line. But I think the true killer of Pokemon will be this sort of type of apathy that I and many more people are starting to feel. The more people that get to the point where they don't even care enough about the franchise or its future to fight for it anymore, the more and more Pokemon discussion will drop, and those who adamantly defend modern Pokemon, going as far as to buy multiple copies of the game just to stick it to the haters, as it were, will slowly have no one to defend it from. The negative press that Pokemon has been getting lately is actually emboldening it, and if you really think about it, dead franchises are not those that people adamantly hate, they're those that people don't even talk about. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this is going to happen to Pokemon anytime soon, nor am I saying that I want this to happen to Pokemon, but I do want people to understand that it's okay to have discussions about critiquing Pokemon and whatnot, but when you take it to another level and make your entire identity based around how bad Pokemon is, or on the flip side, defend anything and everything and make that your identity, you don't actually end up doing what you're setting out to do. Pokemon will die if and when people stop talking about it, when people stop anticipating the next release, whether that be through a negative or positive lens, and no game and no amount of anger will ever kill Pokemon, but apathy could. If the Pokemon franchise continues to go about creating their games in a minimalistic and sort of cookie cutter fashion, eventually the novelties of new things like open world, DLC, new regions, etc. will fall off, and if this does happen, the death of Pokemon will not be some sort of fiery demise, but rather a slow fading of its existence. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think about what I've stated in this video. Even if you're someone who is completely fine with modern Pokemon and absolutely love it, I think you can kind of agree with the idea that responding to things that you dislike about the franchise in a way that is less critical and more angry will not be the death of Pokemon, nor will a single monster taming game that people set up to be the next, quote, Pokemon killer be, without actually thinking about the sheer numbers that Pokemon brings in. I don't know, I just thought this was an interesting discussion because just being online has shown me that there's oftentimes little room for healthy discussion. It's usually pro-Pokemon outrage or anti-Pokemon outrage, and I do like to have these types of discussions without being like, you know, Pokemon sucks, you guys suck for buying it, and your mom is smelly, all because you disagree with me. I might not be some sort of middle ground centrist when it comes to Pokemon. I definitely do feel that the games are lacking in many areas. However, I don't think that approaching the discussion in a vitriolic manner, again, this happens with both sides, is going to change anybody's mind, especially because people don't go on the internet to have their minds changed. They go on the internet to get validated. But again, let me know your guys' thoughts on this. Do you think Pokemon will ever die, or do you think 40 years from now it'll be just as popular as it is now? And do you think if Pokemon dies, it'll be some sort of fiery death at the hands of some new monster taming game, or do you think it'll be this slow, apathetic fading that I discussed?